Old-timers knew how to pick a good tree to make snowshoes, axe handles, and dog sleds. Hickory and ash from the lower 48 are tougher than most Alaskan birch, but a well-chosen birch tree is amazingly strong. The first thing the builder looks for is a tree with few or no knots. The grain around knots is twisted and will weaken a structural part. Knots from a dead branch will greatly weaken the wood, whereas knots from a live branch aren't as harmful. The builder looks at the branches of the tree. Are they stiff and pointed straight up in the air, or do they droop a bit? Droopy branches indicate flexible wood. Straight branches indicate brittle wood. These trees have branches straight up and probably have brittle wood. These trees have droopy branches and probably have tough wood. Next, the builder looks at the trunk of the tree for indicators of the grain. Are the fibers twisted, or is the grain straight? Sometimes there are ridges on the tree that will tell the story. This tree has straight grain. This tree obviously doesn't. Under the knots, there's usually an indentation. Is it straight, or does it twist? These are straight. This is twisted. The builder also looks at the color of the bark. The bark should look healthy like a baby's cheeks. This bark looks healthy. This bark does not. If there are many black dots on the bark, it's an indication of considerable heartwood that will cause warping. If the tree passes all these tests, the builder cleans the bark away from the wood fibers and chops a bit. He pulls down on the fibers. Do they split straight down, or are they twisted?
Like 2 on 3, 6. Maybe.
Once they've been pulled away from the tree, he bends them in all directions. Do the fibers snap and fray, or are they flexible? These fibers are flexible. These are brittle. If it is really cold out, the builder puts the wood in his mouth first to thaw the wood to give it a fair test. If the wood is straight-grained and flexible, it should be tough enough to meet any challenge. When women peel birch trees to make birch baskets, the peeling doesn't kill the tree, but makes the tree turn black. After a while, the tree will develop considerable heartwood. When cutting and splitting the birch, the builder is very careful that the grain works in his favor. This would make a good axe handle, and this wouldn't. When chasing a moose or looking for berries, the builder was always on the lookout for a good birch and mentally marked the spot so he could return there later. The old-timers spent days and days looking for the right tree before making a sled, snowshoes, or axe handles. Often finding the right tree took longer than the construction. Many axe handles in stores are doomed to break, as most ash and hickory are ripped without any consideration to grain. In this case, Wayne chose to cut strips of birch and laminate them together with epoxy and fiberglass tape. This handle is extremely strong. When old-timers were hunting or picking berries, it takes just as much work to build one out of a poor quality birch as it does the perfect tree.